DLC 1 for Black Ops 2 Zombies was Die Rise. Following up Transit with what is regarded as the worst Treyarch Zombies map was probably not the best idea in the world, but Treyarch had an idea and they stuck with it. A vertically oriented zombies map. And just like the past two maps, the concept itself is good, but Treyarch did not implement it in the best way possible. Much like with the bus, fog, box, weapons, perks, enemies, and literally everything on Transit. In Nuketown with everything except the bus, fog, and denizens. Die Rise falls apart when you have to rely on elevator shafts that can only be influenced by the player using a one-time part to call the elevator to you. It's a decent idea in concept until you realize that you can only use the f***ing elevator key once. Why? I don't know. I mean, with how tall Die Rise is, it only makes sense that the best they'd be able to use is elevators, but what about stairs? They're on the map, but on the opposite side from where everything actually important is. Die Rise consists of 2 towers, or I guess 3. I mean, one of them's fallen over, so technically 2. The map itself looks amazing, by the way, with there are a few exceptions, like the entire second tower. Like, why does everything look so shitty? I know it's a zombie apocalypse, but holy fuck, like, what's going on in here? The skybox is one of the best parts of the map. I mean, like, come on. Look at this. So, what went wrong with Die Rise? Well, the obvious answer would be quite literally everything except the weapons, but we will get to those later. For now, let's discuss when you spawn in, or should I say, when you start the game, because the world's most annoying cutscene of all time plays every single time you queue into a solo game.
I don't understand. Why are you doing this? Why me?
Now, I could talk about the story. I'm not gonna, because it's dog shit. So let's talk about this concept art instead. I mean, holy fucking shit, look at how good this looks. There's a lot to dissect with this. Like, I'm not entirely sure where you'd start. Maybe the idea was you just play in this one area. No, that they took inspiration from the fucking maze at the bottom of the tower, because Jesus Christ, what is going on over here? Or maybe you weren't meant to play over there either, but you can see the pylon, and you can see the work in progress dragon. I am so sorry. Maybe you were meant to start in this little area? I don't know, but the real best part of this is the Treyarch reference. Look at that, baby. I got that reference. Again, I'm still not entirely sure how this would even play, but I mean, it's safe to say that this concept art, just like pretty much every other concept art out there, looks like a million times better than the actual map itself. And it is kind of sad that we didn't get this in the final version. I mean, but it still looks really fucking good. So now we have to talk about the actual map. The new guns added to the map are one of the biggest improvements over any other map, because it's the biggest improvement Die Rise added. The PDW, a legendary submachine gun that can be bought off the wall only a few doors away from spawn. The SVU, the best sniper ever added to zombies of all time. Fight me, Draken fans. And the one and only AN-94, an AR that replaces the entire purpose of ever spinning the box. Considering you pretty much have god tier guns that can be bought off the walls and have ammo that can be bought off the walls too, why should you even bother spinning the box? Especially with where the box location is every time you play the map. The box on Die Rise, for whatever reason, has one spawn in this upside down building every time. Now, the box is behind a split path. The player can choose to go the SVU wall by route, loop around to the box, or the player can jump down onto this mattress and not go to the box. The problem? If you go the mattress route, you can wall by the AN-94, continue going, and you'll end up at Jug, Pack-a-Punch, the Liquefier, and the bank. Why would anyone ever go to the box? So let's talk about the final weapon of Die Rise. What many say, besides the previously mentioned gun, saves the map. The Liquefier. The world's easiest buildable for one of the best wonder weapons of all time. Makes sense, right? Subconsciously, I wonder if Treyarch made the buildable so easy to make the Liquefier accessible and the map better. The wonder weapon is so easy to obtain, then more casual players would like the map, or at least I'd assume so. Transit suggests otherwise, though, so prove me wrong, I guess. So what's good about the Liquefier? Well, let's run through the checklist. 1, it's a complete joke to obtain. 4 parts, and they have like 2 spawns each in the span of 4 whole rooms, basically. Part swap, and you have the entire wonder weapon on round 1 if you use the bank, which we'll talk about later. 2, the ammo. The Liquefier has a total of 50 bullets, and each shot does 5.5 million! 3, it does 5.5 million damage. Sure, the Liquefier was nerfed following a patch, but you can can actually unpatch it by shooting this symbol 10 times with Solidifier. Apparently works. I just do it every time because I ain't using some shitty Nerf gun. Give me this good shit. 4, it doesn't use an equipment slot. This may seem weird, but you consider that the jet gun used an equipment slot and that was also buildable. I'd say we got pretty lucky that the Solidifier and the Paralyzer more or less both aren't equipment. 5, you control with. Speaking of equipment, let's talk about the trample steam. It really isn't that bad, honestly. It's one of the best buildables in the game. I would say that as if it really matters, but to be honest, when you look at the competition, it doesn't really mean much. You can use it in a few select locations to jump, like here, and yeah, it's pretty much the only place I'd ever put it. Trample steam is required for the Easter egg too. Still not going to talk about it. The trample steam is also good for killing the boss enemy of this map. Leapers? Jumping jacks? A reused enemy? Fuck them. You kill every leaper with 100% accuracy, you get a free perk, which is nice considering you buy the Galva Knuckles, it's a free perk. Or build the trample steam in camp somewhere. So I'm not complaining. If only building the trample steam wasn't the most boring shit imaginable. You have to bring each part down to the buildable table and go back up. Easy in co-op, tedious in solo. And yes, I know you can swap them off the edge, but I'll just build the Solidifier instead, thank you. Something interesting about BO2 Zombies is that each map had one new perk unique to each said map. Transit had Tombstone, Die Rise had Who's Who, Mob of the Dead had Electric Cherry, Buried had Vulturate, and Origins had PhD, I guess. Who's Who is a good perk in concept, and on literally any other map than the vertically inclined Die Rise it would have been good. Who's Who should have been on Transit, and Tombstone should have been on Die Rise or something, I don't fucking know. Or Treyarch could have just made a good perk instead. There's a reason why Tier 5 Tombstone in Cold War is actually good. You go into Who's Who like Stay and you revive yourself with your current loadout, not a starting pistol! Yes, for some ungodly reason you're supposed to revive yourself with a starting pistol. No perks, no literally anything. Who's Who could have been a good perk, but unfortunately it had its fate sealed when it was put on Die Rise. How unfortunate. Along with a terrible perk being on the map, we also have a terrible zombie type. Armored zombies? I have genuinely no idea why these are on Die Rise. There's nothing to warrant them being on Die Rise. They're just here and they're fucking annoying for like the first 5 rounds and then they don't even matter later. Unless you're actually trying to kill them. You know, the entire point of the game. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure why they exist. They do. So yeah, fuck me, I guess. So quite literally everything except the guns and the trample steam, I guess, if you have the patience to build it, are fucking dog shit. But what is the map like to play? We touched on the elevators and stairs problem earlier, but now let's talk about the one thing every Die Rise fan dreads hearing. PhD flopper on Die Rise. Seems like an obvious solution, right? Put the perk that negates all fall damage on the map that is vertically inclined. Ascension, Call of the Dead, Shangri-La, and Moon had PhD, and why doesn't Die Rise? Well, I'll make a future video on PhD, but to summarize it shortly, Treyarch fucking hates PhD flopper. Funny to think in a game mode where you want to be as powerful as possible, it's funny that Treyarch does everything they can to essentially not let that happen. As many of you may know, PhD was teased inside of an inaccessible floor when using the lift, an obviously hilarious troll to say the least. So, would PhD Flopper actually work on Die Rise? I mean, technically, yes, it would, but do I think that you should be able to jump from the top of the map to the very bottom? Not really, to be honest. Sure, that's the entire purpose of PhD, but I'm not sure why you wouldn't just put a zip line on part of the debris or rubble or something connecting between the buildings. Call of the Dead had zip lines, and that came way before Die Rise, so it seems questionable why they didn't just put zip lines on this map. Part of me loves the idea of jumping all the way down to the bottom of the map, and the other part of me just wishes they added a part that negated like 5 times the fall damage the player would normally take. Making the perk not too overpowered, but it would still be a good perk to have on a map where obtaining every perk is already really easy. Lastly, there's the bank. Sure, getting fully set up on round 1 with perks, weapons, and pack-a-punch may seem overpowered, because it is, but like I mentioned a bit ago, with PhD, the fun is being overpowered. I mean, I personally only use the bank to buy doors and get chugs, it's fucking doing a dumb system. But the bank is a feature that made the Victus maps, Transit, Die Rise, and Buried, have more personality, as if Transit and Die Rise needed anywhere to begin with. Do I think the bank is broken? Abso-fucking-lutely. But like the Gobblegum system in BO3, it's completely optional, so to say that it's broken is kind of unfair when you can just avoid it. And there we go. Talked about the weapons, we talked about the perks, we talked about the buildables, talked about the transportation, and we talked about the bank. I think that's everything. So, in conclusion, is Die Rise a bad map? Well, when you put everything together like this video, it makes it seem like Die Rise is unplayable, but I do have a soft spot for Die Rise. I honestly don't think it's a bad map. I really honestly don't think any of the Treyarch Zombies Sorry, I haven't played BO4. Or Vanguard. Maybe I'm able to tolerate more than the others. Maybe YouTubers over the years have made Die Rise out to be an unplayable mess, but from my perspective, Die Rise is just an experimental map that had the misfortune of being in the Black Ops 2 engine, where you can die of fall damage by basically tripping. So, for me, Die Rise isn't really as bad as many have made out to be. Would I say it's the worst Treyarch Zombies map? Well, to me, Transit is much less enjoyable to play, but at least Die Rise has good weapons. And a wonder weapon. So, yeah. In the next retrospective video, we'll be talking about the legendary debut of Jason Blundell, Mob of the Dead. Until then, thank you boys and girls for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.
I just put the boo in boom!
Oh! Let's
That
go!
wasn't a real monkey!
Liquefier from the box!